Hello, Starseeds, and welcome to Magic Monday. Actually, this is now going to be called Neuro Linguistic Astrology Live, featured on Magical Monday. And what we're going to be doing today is actually, let me just double check that you guys can all hear me okay. Yes, we're all good. Excellent. So I'm just going to be doing a live chart reading of the everlasting now, going through each of the luminaries and the planets as they are in the cosmos as it stands, kind of like the cosmic weather, let's say. And then using that, we're going to then have an understanding of what the energies are, and so we can then use the card reading to basically account for that. Yes, yeah, that's what I mean. Okay, so it's been a little while since I've done this, so I apologize. I'm a little rusty. I have a new show called The Truth, Beauty, Freedom, and Love podcast, or I like to call it a show because it is a video. I want to call it like a talk show more than anything. I'm sorry, I thought I had my video up where I wanted it to be, but it's giving me problems today. Thank you for your patience. Okay, much better, I think. Okay, there we go. Okay, much better for now. Okay, so we're going to be going over the chart of the everlasting now, which I will just go into without further ado. Okay, so you can see here the chart of the moment, the chart of the everlasting now. We are just recently into Libra season, just cusping in. We're like 2 degrees into Libra, if I just double check that. Yep. So next we have the moon. The moon is in Aquarius, which is a very spicy moon. So shout out to anyone who is born with a moon in Aquarius. It's a very, I would say an intellectual moon. Aquarius is a very smart sign. We're going to get into what that means in the context of everything else happening in the cosmos in just a moment. Next, I want to take a look at Mercury, and Mercury is the little hat, the winged hat over here, and that's just in Virgo. Next, we have Venus. Venus is in Leo, and we've got Jupiter is in Taurus, as well as, let's see here, what else is in Taurus? We've got Uranus in Taurus. Where's Chiron? Chiron is still in Aries. The North Node is now fully in Aries, still moving, I guess, quite slow. We have Neptune in Pisces, and we've got Saturn in Pisces, but right on this, this is kind of interesting here. And the midheaven and Saturn and the moon are all in this area right here. The ascendant, of course, is based on the time, the exact time, and so we are doing this reading at 11 p.m. This is a late night show, so thank you to everyone who is joining me right now in the evening. Or it could be early morning based on where you are, but we're going to be doing a Shadowscapes reading. I'm going to do the whole deck this time. It'll be a 2-card reading, mainly just because if we have more than the Major Arcana involved in the reading, if you pull, let's say, like a 2 of Pentacles, you can get more clarity by having another card help to tell the story of what's going on in the energies, at least for me, in terms of divinating what is going on. So that's kind of like the placements. What we're going to look into today is, also, Mercury is no longer in retrograde. Mercury in Virgo. I didn't really talk about that. Mercury actually rules Virgo. Mercury also rules Gemini. Now, in the sign of Virgo, like the caduceus, healthcare, service, nursing, all that, Virgo exemplified. And so speaking about it, communicating about things like health is very much a focus right now. And now that Mercury is no longer in retrograde, I think you'll find that there's a lot more verbiage and narratives about health. What that looks like remains to be seen. As you can see here, the sun is now in Libra, and if we think of Libra in the chart, it opposes Aries, and Aries, of course, opens the zodiac, and Libra splits the zodiac in half. So if it's like the horizon, Libra is like the gateway into the underworld. We have Mars there. I have heard a lot of astrologers say that Mars in Libra is a tough placement just because Mars rules things like drive and how you get things done, like pushing forward. And so in Libra, what it can be is almost like this indecisiveness, because you're never going to be able to have almost a perfect solution. And Libra is always striving a bit for not necessarily perfection, but balance, and ensuring that any decision is a just one in terms of their own moral compass. And that's what I love about Libras. It can be annoying in some regards, sure, but every sign, you have a well aspected way that sign is expressed, and then you have the maladjusted way that sign is expressed. And so indecisiveness, and of course then Mars being drive and pushing forward, can express intention and anxiety. I think Marilyn Monroe had this placement, and it can sometimes feel like you're conflicted all the time when you're trying to make decisions. This in a grander context, because this is like a chart for everyone, right? Because this is what the sky is saying right now. We may all have that feeling right now of feeling like pulled in two different directions when trying to decide on a way forward. It can be further, I think, complicated by the fact that the moon, the sign that rules, or rather the luminary that rules emotions, is in the sign of Aquarius. And Aquarius has two planetary rulers, Saturn and Uranus. And Uranus is very much a wild card and unpredictable. This can be spicy and fun in a lot of ways in Aquarius, but sometimes from an emotional standpoint, it can feel a little, like, especially with Libra here. We'll look at the aspects. Actually, it's a good segue into that. See, there's still a lot of retrograde action going on, right? So like Uranus is in retrograde, but it's outer planets. Not more than that. It's like literally Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. So I guess Mercury going not retrograde may help a little bit, but there is all of this retrograde action happening in the collective sign, or like the collective consciousness planets. Let's see if there's other things aspecting. This brings up, you can also get this this calculator for your own birth chart when we get into the readings from my website. I will drop a link to that in the chat. But let's take a look here. When you look at an orb degree, that's meaning how tight the aspect is. I don't know if that's even a pun. Pun intended. North Node sextile. I'm not going to go into sextiles today. I'm going to not ascendants either, because remember what I said, like, this is mainly like birth time, and from this perspective, I'm looking at this from an energetic look for the week, as opposed to like very much that moment in time. The ascendant is very much, or like the birth time is very important in like natal and even time of death charts, if that's known specifically, because that is a very instant point where like you can get some clues from it. Neptune is sextile Pluto. Venus is sextile Mars. Pluto is square the North Node. That is interesting. North Node is the head of the dragon, where your destiny lies. It's the lunar point of, I look at it like a waypoint in a video game, like where am I going? You know, like if you're getting lost somewhere in the map, it's just kind of like, okay, reorienting yourself as to like what lessons are to be learned in this lifetime. Where's the North Node again? It's in Aries, right? And Aries, of course, is the sign that opens up the chart. It's the sign of self. It also is like, you know, coming into form and initiatory and fiery and military and strength. It's the warrior sign too. So squaring Pluto's in Capricorn. but just into Capricorn. It was like in Aquarius, which is a fixed sign, and it drifted retrograde into Capricorn, where it will be until it moves into Pluto for a while. So in the meantime, squaring the North Node, I feel like there's a level of resistance collectively against reaching a destiny. And so I think everyone's kind of noticing right now in terms of the collective consciousness, a lot of things are falling away for new storylines to take place. The North Node in Aries is very much a burn, like, think of it, Aries mobilizing. I am Spartacus. I get that kind of vibe from Aries. It's retrograding right now with the North Node, and so lessons are to be able to stand as an independent and, you know, kind of breaking out of this whole like idea of like mob mentality, and, you know, go along to get along, and having that, and this is square, like that energy is squaring off against this Pluto idea of like Capricorn, of like following the rules, because right now it's going to be a matter of like for you to express yourself independently. I'm feeling this as well, for you to be a true independent thinker, an independent being, independent magical being, whatever that means. That may mean breaking rules, which seem to be put in place for the good of society, which is what Capricorn's all about. Capricorn's also police, and it's like the hierarchy. It's that kind of stuff. So having Pluto there, it was there for a while, but having Pluto there before it goes back into Aquarius and having it square the North Node is like this collective anxiety about the change that needs to happen to society on a whole as it kind of burns down. That's, I feel, if we're all going to feel that on a personal level, even though that's happening collectively. So that's going to express personally in everyone differently, especially if you have personal planets that are playing in signs of like Capricorn and Aries right now. Yeah, they're both cardinal signs. All right, next, Mars opposes Chiron, and Mars exactly the energy of that in Libra. Remember I talked about how it's like a little bit malaligned. That's a matter of opinion, I suppose. But opposing Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer, and it shows where we can get healing in this lifetime from previous lifetimes. And so having this in Aries, this is very related to what I was saying about the North Node in terms of finding self-empowerment and in your own self-will. And that may mean that will come into conflict with, you know, balance and, as I said, going along to get along. Just because, like, I'm very much aware of this. I don't like having to do those tough conversations where feathers need to be ruffled. But it's the idea of if you stand in your truth and you know what's good and right in your heart of hearts and standing up for that. And that sometimes may mean that what you're standing up for, like Captain America's got a great quote about that in terms of, no, you move. I'm going to stand by the river of truth and stand for what I believe in. And Libra can, I feel sometimes, if there's the push of the whole collective, it can kind of get swept up in that to try to balance it out. So I think that there's an opportunity here with these energies opposing each other to alchemize it, right? Because with opposing forces, with air and fire, you can definitely make something happen for the good, for the good side with these energies in the sky right now. So warriors, that's a call to action. Okay, the aspects here, we've got some T-squares. I'm not going to talk about that. I want to talk instead about the yod. I think I had an astro chat a couple weeks ago, which I was like, we're going to talk about yods, and we kind of didn't. So before we get into the card reading, we're going to go into yods. And yod are basically considered the fingerprint of fate, the fingerprint of destiny. If you are born with a yod in your chart, it typically means that you're going to be playing out a storyline in this life that heals some sort of ancestral trauma, and you can get clues from what that could be, what relationships in your life, what journeys and quests you're going to undertake that will, fulfill that. And here we have a yod right